Nobody saw this coming, not even the fans who thought they had already heard every rumor, every accusation, every hidden truth about 50 Cent. But what happens when someone known for exposing the industry's darkest corners decides to turn his spotlight directly onto one of hip-hop's most untouchable figures? That is exactly what went down when DJ Akademiks sat down, hit record, and quietly said, "There's something about 50 that never made sense to me." And just like that, the internet exploded. At first, it sounded like another casual rant. Akademiks has built his reputation on breaking stories, stirring debates, and calling out celebrities without hesitation. But this time felt different. His tone was colder, more calculated. He wasn't joking, he wasn't reacting, he was digging. Piece by piece, he began laying out a narrative that had fans questioning everything they thought they knew. The money, the business deals, the street image, even the carefully crafted persona that turned 50 Cent into a global icon. According to Akademiks, some of it just did not add up. "Y'all think you know him," he said, leaning closer to the camera. "But what if I told you, there's a version of 50 that never made it to the spotlight?" Within minutes, social media went into meltdown. Fans were shocked. Loyal supporters rushed to defend 50, while critics began pulling up old clips, old interviews, old contradictions. Suddenly, years of moments that once seemed random were being re-examined under a new lens. Was this just another industry rumor, or was something much bigger about to be exposed? Because if Akademiks was right, this was not just gossip. This was a deep dive into one of the most powerful names in hip-hop, and what he might have been hiding all along. The moment DJ Akademiks pressed record, you could feel it was not going to be one of his usual loud reactions or quick takes. This felt different. His voice was slower, almost measured, like he had been holding this in for a long time. He leaned forward, eyes locked on the camera, and said something that immediately sent chills through his audience. "What if everything you think you know about 50 Cent is only half the story?" Fans were shocked. Comments started flooding in before he could even continue. Some people laughed it off, assuming this was just another exaggerated internet moment, but others could sense it. There was weight behind his words. He was not chasing clout this time. He was building a case. Akademiks started pulling up old clips, not the ones that go viral every year, but the forgotten ones. Interviews buried deep in the internet, moments where 50's tone shifted, where his stories did not quite line up the way fans remembered. He paused one clip and looked straight into the camera again. "You ever notice how certain details keep changing, depending on who he's talking to?" That question alone was enough to split the audience. Loyal fans rushed to defend 50, saying he had nothing to prove after everything he survived. But others began to rewind their own memories. They started connecting dots that had never been connected before. Akademiks did not stop there. He began talking about the business side, the deals, the partnerships, the sudden moves that always seemed strategic, but now, under this new lens, looked almost too calculated. "He's always 10 steps ahead," Akademiks said, but the question is, ahead of what? The tension grew heavier as he introduced names, people who had once been close to 50 but quietly disappeared from his circle. Some fell out publicly, others just faded away without explanation. Akademiks leaned back and shook his head. It's not normal for someone to burn this many bridges and still come out looking clean every time. Social media exploded again. Fans were shocked. People started tagging old associates, asking questions that had never been asked so directly. Some ignored it, some responded with vague comments. But a few seemed nervous. Then came the first major twist. Akademiks pulled up a clip that many had seen before, but never really paid attention to. It was an old interview where 50 was asked about a specific incident from his past. His answer was confident, almost rehearsed. But then Akademiks played another clip from years later, where the same question was asked again. This time, the details were slightly different. Not completely different, just enough to raise doubt. "You see it now?" Akademiks said quietly. "This ain't about one lie. This is about a pattern." The chat went wild. People started comparing timestamps, analyzing every word. What once looked like harmless variations now felt intentional. The idea that 50 might have been shaping his narrative over time started gaining traction. But Akademiks was not finished. He shifted the focus to the image 50 built for himself. The fearless figure. The man who survived everything and came out stronger. That story made him untouchable, Akademiks explained, because nobody questions a survivor. There was a pause. A long one. Then he said something that changed the entire direction of the conversation. But what if parts of that story were controlled? Fans froze. Even the comment section slowed down for a moment. The word controlled echoed in people's minds. What did he mean by that? Academics began breaking it down, suggesting that certain moments in 50's career may have been exaggerated or strategically presented to create a stronger public image. Not completely fake, but carefully managed. I'm not saying nothing happened, he clarified, I'm saying the version we got might not be the full truth. That distinction hit hard. It was not a direct accusation, but it planted a seed of doubt that was impossible to ignore. Reactions started pouring in from all sides. Some industry insiders posted cryptic messages. One former associate tweeted, "People ain't ready for that conversation," before quickly deleting it. Screenshots spread like wildfire. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The community was splitting into two clear sides. Those who believed 50 was being unfairly targeted, and those who felt like they were finally seeing behind the curtain. Akademiks, however, remained calm. Almost too calm. He leaned in again and lowered his voice, and we haven't even talked about the beef yet. That word alone carried weight. Everyone knew 50 had a long history of conflicts, but Akademiks hinted that some of those feuds might not have been as organic as they seemed. Drama sells, he said, and nobody understands that better than him. He started listing out rivalries, pointing out how each one seemed to elevate 50's position, keeping him in headlines, keeping him relevant. It's like every conflict somehow worked in his favor. The idea was unsettling. Were these real disputes, or were they part of a larger strategy? The audience could feel the tension building. This was no longer just entertainment. It felt like an unraveling. Akademiks paused again, letting the silence stretch just long enough to make people uncomfortable. Then he dropped another line that sent chills through the entire stream. Y'all think he's reacting to the game, but what if he's been controlling it the whole time? And just like that, the narrative shifted completely. The silence after that statement felt heavier than anything he had said before. You could almost hear people thinking, replaying years of moments in their heads, trying to decide whether they had been watching a man navigate chaos, or a man quietly directing it. DJ Akademiks did not rush. He let the tension sit, then slowly began pulling another thread. Let's talk about loyalty, he said, his tone sharper now. Because that's where things start to fall apart. He brought up names again, but this time, he went deeper. These were not just former associates. These were people who once stood next to 50 Cent at his highest moments. People who defended him, promoted him, and helped build the image that fans respected. Where are they now? Akademiks asked. No one had a clear answer. He began recounting stories of sudden fallouts. One moment, everything looked solid. Interviews full of praise, public appearances full of unity. Then suddenly, silence. No explanation, no closure, just distance. That ain't normal, Akademiks said, shaking his head. When one or two people fall out, okay. But when it keeps happening, you gotta start asking why. Fans were shocked. Comments flooded in again, tagging those same names, digging up old posts, looking for clues. Some people defended 50, saying success naturally creates distance. Others were not convinced anymore. Then came another twist. Akademiks revealed that he had been speaking privately with someone who used to be very close to 50. He did not say the name, but his tone changed. It became more serious, more personal. This person told me something that didn't sit right with me, he said. They said, being around him feels like you're part of a plan you don't fully understand. That line hit hard. The chat slowed again. People started asking questions, trying to guess who it could be. But Akademiks refused to reveal it. Instead, he focused on the feeling behind the statement. Imagine that, he continued. You think you're just living your life, doing business, building something, but the whole time, you're just a piece on a board. Emotions ran high. Some viewers called it manipulation. Others called it strategy, but nobody could ignore how unsettling it sounded. Akademiks then shifted the conversation toward the public feuds again, but this time, he added a new angle. What if some of those situations were not just reactions, he said. What if they were setups? He began breaking down timelines. When certain beefs started, what was happening in 50's career at that exact moment, what he gained from the attention that followed. The pattern started to look less random and more intentional. Every time things slowed down, Akademiks pointed out, something pops off. Something dramatic, something that puts him right back in the spotlight. Fans were shocked. It was starting to feel like a cycle. He played clips of heated arguments, social media posts, interviews filled with tension. But instead of focusing on the emotions, he focused on the timing. The results, the outcomes. Look at what happens after, he said. That's where the truth usually hides. Some viewers began to agree. They started pointing out their own observations, moments where controversy seemed to benefit 50 in unexpected ways. Others pushed back, saying he had simply mastered the art of turning negativity into success. But Akademiks was not done. He leaned forward again, his voice lower now, almost like he was letting the audience in on something confidential. "There's one more thing that nobody talks about," he said, "and this might be the most important part." The room felt tense again. "Fear," he said simply. He explained that 50's reputation was not just built on success, but on unpredictability. The idea that you never quite knew how he would respond, what he would say, or how far he would go. That kind of energy keeps people in line, Akademiks said. Because nobody wants to be the next target, fans reacted immediately. Some agreed, pointing out how rarely people challenged 50 directly. Others said that was just respect, earned through years of dominance. But then Akademiks added something that made everything feel darker. "Respect and fear can look the same from the outside," he said. "But they don't feel the same on the inside." That line lingered. He continued, suggesting that this environment might explain why so many people stayed quiet, even after falling out. Why stories never fully came out. Why certain questions were never answered. "Sometimes silence tells you more than words," he said. The chat was moving fast now, but the energy had changed. It was no longer just excitement. There was unease, doubt, curiosity mixed with discomfort. Akademiks took a deep breath, then leaned back slightly. "And here's where it gets complicated," he said. "Because even if all of this is true, you gotta ask yourself one thing." He paused, letting the question build. Does it make him a fraud, or does it make him a genius? That question divided the audience instantly. Some people argued that everything he described was just smart business, understanding the industry better than anyone else. Others felt betrayed by the idea that so much of what they admired might have been carefully constructed. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. Debates broke out across platforms, with clips of Akademiks' stream spreading everywhere. But just when it seemed like things could not get more intense, Akademiks dropped another unexpected detail. "There's a situation," he said slowly, "that never got public attention the way it should have." He did not give too much at first. Just enough to spark curiosity. He hinted at a moment behind the scenes, something that involved a disagreement that almost turned into something bigger. "It was handled quietly," he said. Too quietly. The chat exploded again. People demanded details, names, proof. But Akademiks held back, choosing his words carefully. "I'm not here to expose everything," he said. "I'm here to make you think." And that was exactly what he was doing. He leaned in one last time, his voice steady but intense. "Because once you start looking at things differently, you can't unsee it." The screen felt heavier. The conversation had moved beyond simple accusations. It was now about perception, control, and the thin line between reality and image. And as the stream continued, one thing became clear. This was no longer just a discussion about 50 Cent. This was about the entire idea of what people choose to believe, and what they might have been missing all along. Akademiks didn't pause for dramatic effect this time. He dove straight into a series of stories that painted a picture even more complicated, more tangled than anyone expected. He began recounting moments from the early 2000s, when 50 Cent first exploded onto the scene. Everyone remembers the headlines. Survived 9 shots, rose from the streets, dominated the charts. It was a legend that inspired millions. But Akademiks asked a question nobody dared to ask publicly. What if the legend was partially constructed to serve a narrative? He described the way 50 carefully controlled access to his story, who got interviews, which friends were allowed to speak, and which moments were leaked to build suspense. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The idea that the iconic Survivor story could be partially orchestrated sent a shiver through the community. "It's like watching a magician," Akademiks explained. "You see the trick, but nobody tells you how it's done, and that's the point." Then came the first major alleged betrayal. Akademiks recounted a fabricated tale of an early partner, someone who invested money into 50's ventures and later claimed they were edged out. The story was full of heated arguments and secret deals. He played clips that seemed authentic, voices overlapping, snippets of heated exchanges where accusations flew and tempers flared. "The family was left divided," he said. "Loyalty didn't matter when business was at stake." The audience gasped as Akademiks shifted to a different angle: rivalries. He connected dots between 50's public feuds and personal life incidents, suggesting that some conflicts were exaggerated for media attention. He played clips of heated social media posts, text leaks, and interviews where 50 appeared calm while others around him fumed. Fans are shocked, he said. The energy he generates isn't random. It's calculated. Then he introduced another twist. Someone close to 50, he wouldn't name them, allegedly claimed that he manipulated narratives even within his inner circle. Small betrayals, secret alliances, sudden exits from projects. The tension built as Akademiks said. Imagine being a part of something you thought was genuine, only to realize you were just a pawn in a larger game. The chat erupted. Viewers were split between defending their idol and questioning everything they thought they knew. Akademiks leaned back, then smirked. He began detailing moments when 50's public image seemed at odds with behind-the-scenes behavior. He alleged secret negotiations that benefited him while quietly disadvantaging collaborators. He suggested that certain conflicts were timed to distract from business moves or generate publicity. He's always controlling the narrative, Akademiks said. Sometimes, you don't even realize you're being guided. Emotions ran high in the comments. Fans debated whether this was manipulation or genius. Some claimed loyalty, some cried betrayal. The tension escalated as Akademiks revealed yet another layer. A rumored secret project that supposedly went wrong behind closed doors. According to his narrative, 50 avoided public scrutiny while the fallout quietly affected careers, friendships, and partnerships. You see, controlling perception is an art, Akademiks whispered, and he's a master. Then came the most shocking part so far, an alleged confrontation with a former close ally. Akademiks described a heated argument filled with shouting, accusations, and threats. Voices trembled, tempers flared, and secrets threatened to spill. The audience was hooked. They could almost picture the scene, the anger, the betrayal, the feeling that everything was on the line. Akademiks kept the momentum. He explained how fans had unknowingly played a part in building 50's empire, reacting to social media posts, amplifying controversies, and defending him at every turn. The story suggested that public perception was as much a tool as any business deal. It's like everyone's invested emotionally, Akademiks said, and that's exactly how it's meant to be. Suddenly, he shifted to the personal side, family. He hinted at private disagreements, moments of tension that were never shared publicly. Friends and relatives were allegedly caught in situations where they had to choose sides. The family was left divided. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The narrative wasn't just about celebrity. It was about trust, loyalty, and the hidden costs of fame. Then Akademiks revealed a secret communication leak, a text exchange that allegedly suggested 50 was aware of internal tensions and used them strategically. He read it aloud, words dripping with subtle menace and calculated charm. Viewers gasped. Some tried to defend him, others panicked at the implications. Control is quiet, Akademiks said. You never hear the strings being pulled until it's too late. As the story progressed, Akademiks painted a picture of a figure simultaneously admired, feared, and misunderstood. He recounted fabricated incidents of heated exchanges at events, industry dinners, and studio sessions. Dialogues were intense. You crossed a line, someone allegedly shouted. I never cross lines, 50 supposedly responded, his voice calm but dangerous. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. Tension skyrocketed. Every scene felt cinematic. Then came another twist. An alleged plan where 50 was said to manipulate media coverage to his advantage, timing leaks, interviews, and appearances to maximize attention while downplaying controversies. Akademiks narrated it like a detective revealing clues in a case no one saw coming. You think it's random, he said, but it's always been orchestrated. The chat exploded. Viewers debated endlessly. Some were loyal, claiming that everything described was standard in entertainment. Others were convinced they were seeing behind the curtain. Emotions ran high. Discussions turned heated. The family of fans, online communities, were left divided. But Akademiks wasn't done. He hinted at a final revelation that would make fans question everything. A secret moment, hidden for years, where personal betrayal intersected with public drama. It's the moment that changes everything, he said. The line between truth and perception, loyalty and manipulation, becomes impossible to see clearly. Fans were shocked. The tension was unbearable. They leaned in, eyes glued to screens. Emotions ran high. Every comment, every reaction amplified the drama. They could almost feel the hidden conflicts, the silent wars, the emotional stakes of everyone involved. Akademiks paused for dramatic effect. This is the story, he said. The one you never knew existed, but should have. Every betrayal, every calculated move, every reaction that shaped a legacy. I'm just giving you the lens to see it. The audience was left stunned. Some defended their idol fiercely. Some whispered doubts aloud. Emotions ran high. The debate raged across platforms. The story Akademiks had woven blurred the lines between admiration and skepticism, between legend and possible deception. And as the stream ended, one thing was clear: nobody would look at 50 Cent the same way again. The seeds of doubt had been planted, emotions ran high, and the family of fans was left divided, wondering what was real, what was orchestrated, and what would be exposed next. The tension didn't subside after Akademiks' stream ended. In fact, it grew louder as fans began digging deeper, piecing together every public appearance, every interview, every social media post. Suddenly, years of seemingly random events started to look like carefully placed chess pieces. Every argument, every feud, every dramatic announcement took on a new meaning. Emotions ran high. The family of fans was left divided, unable to reconcile the man they admired with the man Akademiks had suggested might exist behind the scenes. Akademiks picked up the narrative again, diving into alleged moments of betrayal that had remained hidden for decades. He described scenarios where trusted collaborators were quietly edged out, replaced by newer faces, while 50 maintained his public persona of loyalty and friendship. The drama was palpable, the tension cinematic. Loyalty isn't always what it seems, he said, and sometimes, survival requires sacrifice. Fans were shocked. They began recounting old incidents, trying to determine which moments were genuine and which were orchestrated. Then came a fabricated tale of a heated confrontation during a major award show. Akademiks painted the scene vividly. Backstage arguments, whispers in hallways, subtle threats exchanged over whispered words. One associate allegedly shouted, "You're playing everyone," while 50 supposedly responded coolly, "I don't play anyone. I just win." Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The audience could almost feel the heat, the adrenaline, the stakes hanging in the air. Akademiks then explored the idea that 50's conflicts weren't random. Each public beef, each media argument, had been timed to distract from behind-the-scenes moves, strategic investments, secret business deals, and calculated image shifts. Every move has a purpose, Akademiks said, and the spotlight is always his tool. Fans began to reconsider every feud, every moment of tension, analyzing whether it was genuine or part of a larger plan. Emotions ran high. He shifted focus to the personal side of the narrative. Family members, longtime friends, and close allies were said to have been caught in dilemmas, forced to choose sides while private disagreements festered behind the public curtain. The family was left divided, Akademiks said, voice tight. Fans were shocked. Social media erupted, with viewers debating whether these conflicts were unavoidable in fame or signs of deeper manipulation. Emotions ran high. Then came another twist. A fabricated private conversation leaked to Akademiks, allegedly showing 50 orchestrating certain outcomes while maintaining an image of spontaneity and authenticity. The lines in the text read like a thriller. Let them think they're in control. Watch how it unfolds. Fans were shocked. They debated whether such behavior was cunning strategy or betrayal of trust. Emotions ran high. Akademiks delved further, showing clips from studio sessions, interviews, and public appearances where tension seemed high, but the outcomes always favored 50. Dialogues were reconstructed for dramatic effect. "You can't cross me," he allegedly said, "but don't think I won't protect what's mine." Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. Discussions ignited across platforms. The family of fans was left divided, struggling to understand the man behind the legend. The narrative took another dark turn as Akademiks highlighted moments where allies reportedly tried to expose inconsistencies, only to be silenced or pushed aside. Subtle threats, quiet interventions, and strategic redirections allegedly ensured that the public never fully saw the cracks. "Control is quiet, but absolute," he said. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The tension was suffocating. Then he added another layer: the manipulation of perception. Every social media post, every interview snippet, and every public gesture were analyzed as potentially intentional. "You think it's random," Akademiks said, "but the timing, the selection, it's all designed to maintain the narrative." Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. They dissected clips, timelines, and posts, wondering how much was real and how much was carefully curated. Finally, Akademiks hinted at one more shocking revelation: an incident kept hidden from the public that, if exposed, could change the perception of 50 forever. He didn't give full details, only enough to spark curiosity and panic. "Sometimes the truth is hidden," he whispered, "and only those paying attention will notice." Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The audience was left desperate for answers. As the narrative drew toward the end of the stream, Akademiks summarized the tension and stakes: loyalty, manipulation, public image, and hidden betrayals intertwined in a story that was larger than any single feud. Fans are shocked, he said. Emotions ran high, and the family of followers, they're left divided, questioning everything. Viewers lingered on every word, replaying clips, analyzing every implication. The narrative had reached a fever pitch. Drama, betrayal, power, and calculated genius blended into a story that was impossible to ignore. Every fan had to decide where they stood, and the conversation spilled across platforms, fueling speculation, debate, and endless questions about the man behind the image. Akademiks didn't stop there. He leaned closer to the camera, lowering his voice as if sharing a secret that could shatter perceptions entirely. He began talking about the inner circle, those who had once been considered 50's closest allies. According to his narrative, some were loyal for years, only to realize too late that their loyalty had been used as a shield, protecting 50 while they bore the risks. You see, Akademiks said, it's easy to be loyal when you think the stakes are mutual, but sometimes, it's one-sided. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The tension felt electric, almost suffocating. He recounted a fabricated story of a studio session gone wrong, where tempers flared and harsh words were exchanged. A longtime collaborator allegedly yelled, "You can't control everything," and 50 supposedly replied with a calm, almost chilling smile, "Control isn't what you think, it's how you survive." The audience gasped. They could almost hear the echo of that room, feel the anger, the fear, the uncertainty. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The family of followers was left divided, debating whether these incidents were calculated strategy or genuine conflict. Then came the media manipulation angle. Akademiks illustrated how public feuds, social media outbursts, and carefully timed interviews seemed to coincide with business moves. An apparent beef would dominate headlines, but behind the scenes, lucrative deals were being finalized, partnerships were being secured, and attention was diverted from sensitive developments. Every distraction has a purpose, Akademiks explained. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. Discussions ignited across forums and comment sections. The narrative had shifted from gossip to a psychological analysis of strategy. Akademiks continued with another fabricated account. A private meeting between 50 and a former partner, where subtle threats and promises were exchanged to maintain control. The dialogue was intense. "You think you're free to act, but freedom comes with a price," 50 allegedly said. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The scene painted 50 as a master strategist, carefully orchestrating every angle, while others struggled to maintain autonomy. He didn't stop at professional manipulation, he wove in personal drama. Friends and family were said to have been caught in moral dilemmas, forced to choose between loyalty to 50 and their own integrity. The family was left divided, Akademiks said softly, emphasizing the emotional cost. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. Debates erupted online. The discussion no longer centered on music or fame. It had become about ethics, manipulation, and trust. The tension escalated further when Akademiks suggested that certain public controversies were engineered to test loyalty. Minor disputes, seemingly spontaneous arguments, and controversial statements could be part of a larger plan, designed to observe who stayed, who fled, and who could be relied upon in critical moments. "Think about it," he said, "every time someone reacts, you learn something about them." Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. Speculation ran rampant. Then came the most dramatic segment yet. A supposed leak of personal communication, texts and messages that implied knowledge of internal betrayals and plans. Akademiks read aloud, words dripping with implication. "Everyone has a role. Everyone thinks they're safe. No one is untouchable." The chat exploded. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. Viewers were torn between admiration for the strategic genius and fear of the manipulative undertones. He transitioned into another alleged scenario, a private event where tensions boiled over. Voices raised, accusations flew, and 50 remained eerily calm, deflecting blame, asserting control, and maintaining an image of composed authority. The drama was cinematic. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The family of followers was left questioning whether the persona they adored was authentic or meticulously curated. Akademiks then highlighted the role of timing in 50's career. He suggested that controversies in public drama often coincided with quiet, behind-the-scenes moves that enhanced wealth, influence, and status. It was as if chaos was deliberately orchestrated to mask strategic gains. "You think it's random," Akademiks said, "but nothing about this empire is accidental." Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The narrative forced viewers to reconsider every headline, every feud, every triumph. Finally, he hinted at one last, chilling layer. A hidden conflict, kept away from the public eye, that had never been resolved. A secret tension, a private betrayal, one that suggested even the closest allies were never fully trusted. Sometimes the truth is quiet, Akademiks said, and only the ones paying attention can see it. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high, the drama had reached its peak. The audience was left hanging, desperate for clarity, divided in loyalty, and questioning the line between legend and manipulation. As the segment closed, Akademiks leaned back, his gaze steady. He reminded viewers that what they had witnessed was more than just stories. It was a reflection on perception, power, and the hidden layers of influence that shape a legacy. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, the family of followers remained divided, uncertain where truth ended and orchestration began. The narrative was set, the tension unresolved, and the questions were far from answered. Akademiks wasn't finished. He leaned in closer, his voice lowering as if letting the audience in on a secret that could change everything. He began outlining alleged manipulations that went beyond business and feuds, into the very image 50 Cent projected to the world. He suggested that the iconic tough persona, the fearless survivor, the master of every game, might have been carefully curated, scene by scene, moment by moment. He's not just surviving, Akademiks said slowly, he's directing the story of survival. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high, the family of followers was left divided, trying to reconcile the man they idolized with the one Akademiks described. He dove into a fabricated story of a behind-the-scenes disagreement during a high-profile media event. Voices raised, accusations flew, and tempers flared. Someone allegedly yelled, "You're using us," and 50 supposedly replied coolly, "I'm using the moment, not the people." Understand the difference. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The tension felt cinematic, as if viewers could see the betrayal, the strategy, and the calm authority all in one frame. Then Akademiks shifted to the idea of hidden agendas in 50's public conflicts. Every social media spat, every heated interview, every industry feud might have served a purpose: distraction, diversion, or leverage. Look at the timing, he explained. Every conflict coincides with something happening behind the scenes. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. Discussions exploded across platforms as viewers debated whether these moves were genius or manipulation. He introduced a fabricated narrative about allies and former collaborators who suddenly disappeared from the spotlight. According to Akademiks, some left under mysterious circumstances, others quietly exited after subtle disagreements. The common thread, he suggested, was 50's strategic foresight, testing loyalty, observing reactions, and always maintaining control. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The audience wrestled with admiration, suspicion, and confusion simultaneously. Akademiks then described a supposedly private argument that escalated dramatically. A collaborator allegedly shouted, "Enough games," while 50's calm, almost eerie response was, "The game is bigger than you think." Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The family of followers was left grappling with the idea that they might have witnessed a mastermind at work, or a manipulator shaping every outcome. He shifted to personal stakes. Friends, family, and associates allegedly found themselves trapped between loyalty and self-interest. The family was left divided, unable to navigate the delicate balance of truth and narrative. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. Debates flared, with some defending 50's genius and others fearing the human cost of calculated control. Then Akademiks revealed an alleged leak of private communications, suggesting 50 was aware of discontent within his circle and used it strategically. Lines read like a thriller. Let them think they control their fate, while the pieces move as planned. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. Viewers were caught between fascination and fear, questioning whether loyalty or manipulation defined these interactions. He continued with another layer: the orchestration of public perception. Each social media post, every interview snippet, each public appearance, designed to maintain an image, control the narrative, and stay untouchable. You think it's chaos, Akademiks said, but it's calculated. Every reaction, every headline, every spotlight is part of the plan. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The family of followers debated endlessly. Then came a fabricated story about a private confrontation. Voices rose, accusations flew, subtle threats were made, but 50 maintained perfect composure. The drama felt almost cinematic, the tension unbearable. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The scene illustrated a man seemingly untouchable, orchestrating events behind the curtain while maintaining a flawless public image. Akademiks concluded the segment by hinting at a hidden, unresolved conflict that had never been made public. A secret betrayal, a moment of tension that could alter perceptions forever. Sometimes the truth is quiet, he said, and only those paying attention can see it. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The audience was left hanging, split between admiration, doubt, and curiosity. As the segment ended, Akademiks reminded viewers that the story they had witnessed was about more than drama. It was about perception, control, and the fine line between legend and orchestration. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. The family of followers remained divided, unsure what was real, unsure what was staged, and desperate for answers that might never come. The narrative tension remained unresolved, and the speculation only intensified, leaving everyone asking the same question: is 50 Cent a genius, or something far more calculated? And now, after everything we've explored, you have to ask yourself, how much of what you thought you knew about 50 Cent is really real? The alliances, the betrayals, the calculated moves, the moments that seemed spontaneous, all of it now comes into question. Fans are shocked. Emotions ran high. The family of followers is still divided, debating, replaying clips, analyzing posts, and wondering if the legend of 50 Cent is as untouchable as it seemed, or if there's a side to him that only a few have ever glimpsed. Maybe he's a master strategist, manipulating the spotlight, controlling perception, and always staying 10 steps ahead. Or maybe, just maybe, the questions Akademiks raised are opening a window into a world fans weren't ready to see. Every argument, every heated exchange, every whispered conversation could have hidden meaning. The suspense lingers, the drama continues, and the mystery remains unresolved. So here's what you need to do: dive into the debate. Tell us what you think. Are you Team Genius, admiring a man who's mastered the game of fame and power? Or are you Team Skeptic, questioning every move, every story, every legend? Fans are shocked, emotions ran high, and now it's your turn to weigh in. Comment below with your thoughts, hit that like button if you want more deep dives like this, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the latest drama. The story isn't over, and your opinion could be part of what shapes the next chapter.